Good morning, afternoon, evening. Just wanted to do a real quick talking video about the use of scales versus playing over changes. We'll just say it like that. You could phrase it a few different ways, but I just want to talk about it for literally like 2 or 3 minutes to just give you my 2 cents before I probably will start doing a lot of videos on this with more playing examples and things of that nature. But I just want to talk about how, I'm 43, about to be 44, and I have probably my whole guitar playing journey always searched for ways to try to sound like I'm playing outside of the box and expanding from just my minor pentatonic sound, since that's the first thing I developed, like a lot of us. And playing over the changes is one way to do that. Now, I want to talk about it for a brief minute because I feel like I focused for a long time on playing over the changes without really recognizing that. I don't want to say that in certain styles of music that it's pointless, but in certain styles of music it's pointless. If you want to view it that way, to target notes within chords, I think that that's fine. And if that helps your brain, work faster, have less thinking, because that's the goal, right? Is to just play like freely. So whatever you have to do to play more free, do it, and think of it that way, as long as it still is gonna relate to the truth and to how you can communicate it somewhat to other people. But I figured out along the way that as I was trying to play over the changes, that it requires you to be sitting on a chord long enough, unless you're just going to be playing a very picky, if you're going to play very, and maybe what, like, if you're playing like jazzier, if you're going for that kind of thing. But and I think what I'm talking about is like playing more notes, right? Like, like not playing like a bend where you're just gonna sit on that for like what's going over 2 or 3 different chord changes, right? So in rock music, in a lot, obviously you have a lot of music where there isn't a lot happening chord change wise, right? You have, like, take a style like funk, for instance, right? Sometimes it's just gonna sit, even if there's changes, the motif is gonna be probably just a riff in a key, right? Or maybe it's not necessarily so much in a key, but it's just gonna be, you can attack it differently as far as what you want to play over it, but you're not going to be following the changes. Let's just face it, it is what it is, right? You're going to vamp on like one kind of thing there. So you definitely have stylistically certain styles where it's just not very conducive, or certain styles where even if there are chord changes, like maybe like reggae or something like that, where there are chord changes happening, but it's sitting on chords long enough and at a slow enough tempo that you could get out chord change ideas. But in that style of music, that might just sound a little too much, right? So it really works well in like a jazz context, but outside of that, in like a blues and rock and rockabilly and surf rock and all those kind of styles that are kind of cousins, right? For those type of styles, it can work too if you're sitting on the chord long enough. But if you're playing, you're not sitting on. How fast are you going to get out your idea? You know what I mean? Like, you're not on a chord long enough to spell that chord out, really. So it's really more about like landing spots and being in a scale and like landing spots at that point. Honestly, for me, I like using scales in over a chord progression that is more cyclical, like in that way. And then I like to use my ears because the majority of the time those chords are all going to be within one scale, right? Like there's not going to be many times where you're going to use like borrowed chords or altered chords or from parallel keys or substitutions or I mean there's obviously plenty of that and plenty of songs, but there's also a ton of tunes that are just a 1, 2, 3, 4 chords that are in a key, right? So if they are, that all of your chord tones are in that key. They're all diatonic to that key. So you can use scales and just use your ears. I don't personally see a reason to clutter my mind with, okay, now I'm over the A, now I'm over the E, now I'm over the D. Like, I'm just going to use my ear, know that in certain scales that all the notes are a green light, and use my ears. And, do I always know exactly like what chord? Okay, I landed on the E and I'm bending this up and, I'm on the fifth of E right now. Like, no, I don't always know that with the way that I approach it, but I feel like I don't need to because I feel like my ear is telling me the story, right? And the sweet spots and all those things. And I do know the effect of different scale degrees, So, I don't know. I just feel like it's important to kind of just go over that a little bit because I've spent so many years focused on trying to play over changes, which is really cool a lot of the time, but a lot of the times I feel like it does clutter my mind and it's I don't get the return on investment, right? So the amount of thinking and effort, all for what? Maybe you have like one note different that's like outside of the scale or something. Like I feel like there's an easier way. Like there's a better way, it's like going to the DMV. Like there's got to be a quicker way, right? There's got to be a better way. And I'm not trying to tell you should try to get around learning how to play over changes, but I think it's important to just realize that it's just, let's just put a bow on this because I've been talking for a while and I thought this was gonna be like a 2-minute video. So to put a bow on it, it's an awesome technique when it's applicable, but just don't overestimate unless you're just playing like a lot of jazz or something, but don't overestimate when it's applicable. Because even in styles like country or something where it is pretty common to play the changes or over or through the changes, even in those styles, sometimes the chords just move too quick. Like you're just not gonna get out a thought. You don't have time to get out a thought before you're on to chord 2, right? Now in a blues context, that's where you can start blurring the lines because you do sit on the chords long enough, I feel like, to kind of focus more on like a different tonal center or different chord tones at that moment. But if you're not sitting on the chord long enough, I don't feel like it's worth it for my mind to figure out, okay, well, I got to make sure that I'm going to hit the third of the next chord coming up. Like I feel like, to me, that's overthinking it in a lot of applications, not in all applications. I can't stress that enough, that there are times where that is awesome and sounds awesome and will get you that sound of sounding like you're not just in pentatonic world, right? But not that there's anything wrong with pentatonic world. I spend 70% of my time there. So okay, cool. I'm gonna just shut up because this topic I will go into way more depth with like playing examples and different things on both sides of the spectrum of playing both using more of a scale approach and then using more, of a playing the changes through the changes type of approach. Okay. So, hope that just helps you kind of think about it a little bit and maybe get the message that I needed to hear. I think maybe of like lighten up on yourself. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't master playing over or through the changes. Like I don't think it's as important as a lot of guitarists stress it on the internet. So awesome. Much love to you guys, and we'll do some we'll do some real playing here and some playing videos here. No more talking. I'm just kidding. Much love. Like, subscribe, and share. And keep on picking. I'll see y'all on the flip. Later.